Brian, can you tell us about the advantages of using this racket?
Sure, we find that the two handles, it allows you to do anything that you could do with a single-handled racket, only that you get more reach, you get better leverage with one hand behind the other as opposed to one on top of the other, and it just gives you added variety for all of your shots, added disguise, power. You can go down the list and we feel like there's an ergonomic advantage to every shot, and really there's nothing I've found in any case that you really lose from a single-handed racket.
Had you already been a double-handed player before finding this racket?
No, actually I grew up playing relatively conventional style, right-handed, single-handed forehand, two-handed backhand. And when I started using the racket, well, I guess I had been experimenting a little bit, playing with either hand. That's how I met the inventor, Lionel Burt, but it was just the natural fit to be able to play certain shots with two hands, both sides, like on really fast returns, serves that are coming fast to block it back with two hands, and also have the reach, to be able to let go and hit a single-handed forehand on each side, which I'm a natural right-hander, but using the racket just enables you to kind of develop that offhand and turn it into a formidable weapon even, to be able to reach as opposed to reaching across your body with a single-handed backhand slice. You can actually let go and hit a strong, opposite hand forehand, much like Nadal does, because he's really a right-hander, yet he learned to play with his left hand, so we feel the same way that you can actually learn to play with your non-dominant hand as well.
Sure. Dan, do you have the ambidextrous qualities of your brother, and is the racket less an advantage because for a player who's not ambidextrous?
Both of us are naturally. I'm naturally left-hand strong, and he's naturally right-hand strong, and the racket really lends to trying to develop the opposite side of your body. That's the racket came about because of that reason, to be a more balanced approach to the game that was a healthier racket to play with. I found that I'm very left-hand dominant, but as I played with the racket, I start to hit shots with my right hand, just because it's a high left-hand volley, backhand volley is pretty tough, but the same shot without ever practicing it is a pretty easy shot up here with the right hand. And so just the racket tends to help you recognize that certain shots are better to be played with the opposite hand.
Mm-hmm. And is there any downside to the racket? Can it ever feel cumbersome to work with?
The two downsides from the racket, we feel like there's overwhelmingly it's positives to it. The two downsides I can see is first tradition. You go back, and tennis is a good example. The Prince oversized rackets. The traditional players in the beginning said, "Oh, no way, you can't play with those. Those aren't going to work." And then little by little they recognized that golf is another example with the long putters or the big driver heads, where tradition sometimes takes time to break away, and to even if something's superior, it sometimes takes time to change. And then the second thing is the learning curve. We find that more established players possibly have sometimes a harder time adjusting, because it's a little bit of an adjustment, so it may take them a few extra minutes or hours to learn shots, where players that are more beginners, they can pick up this racket and it really is natural for them because they're using both sides of their body, and they can pick it up with two hands, two handles, and just naturally swing back and forth.
So do you both have forehands on either side of your body, but you also will hit backhands at sometimes as well?
Right. I've just spent a little more time with the racket, so I think in match play I'm more likely to let go and hit left-handed shots at times, left-hand overhead if the ball goes over my left side. He's starting to do it more and more in practice, and he's as we've kind of progressed these last 9 months, he's using more the two-hand shots on his left side in certain situations, and even right-handed shots occasionally. So it's a natural progression that we find happens with each player that tries the racket out, whether they're just a recreational player or an established competitive player, that they can gradually work the new elements into their game.